Howdy, Internet students. Mr. Hermanson here again. This is Objective 6.1G. I'm going to show you how to write equations to represent each problem. Now remember, our goal here and our objective is actually learning how to write the equations, not solving the problem, but we will use our equation solving powers to get the answer also. But the important part here is that we learn how to write the equations. Okay, the first problem here deals with missing angles in triangles. What you need to know about triangles is if you have a triangle and say we have angles A, B, and C, it will be true that if you add the three angles up, they're going to equal 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do is write an equation to represent the three angles that I'm adding up to get 180 degrees. What you should notice about this first triangle here is a right triangle. So that first angle there is 90. I'm just going to put 90 plus, and then the second angle here, the missing angle, we represented with x. And the third angle is represented by the expression 3x plus 2. And when I add all three of those up, it's going to equal 180 degrees. All right, so we're going to, right away you're going to notice that there's many more than two terms on this side, so there should be some like terms that we can combine, and in fact there is. We can combine the x with the 3x. Remember, x means 1 times x, and then we have 3 times x. Together that makes 4 times x. And then the constant terms we can add together are 90 and 2. Combining those, I get 92 equals 180. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 92 from both sides here to make my equation simpler. Now I have 4 times x equals 88. Then I'm going to divide by 4 to get 1x, and that's equal to 22. So 22 degrees is this little angle right here. And I need to figure out what the other missing angle is, this one right here. To get that, I'm just going to take 3 times my value of x that I now know is 22, and then add 2. And that gives me 66 plus 2 is 68 degrees. So, and then one final check you can do is just make sure all three angles add up to 180 degrees, which I think you'll find they do. So, the next type problem is one of these consecutive integer problems. Remember that integers are whole numbers, basically, but they could be positive or negative. And in this first problem, we have the sum of two consecutive odd numbers is 492. That means I'm adding up two things, and their total will be 492. Now what I need to do is represent those numbers. And just to give you an example, consecutive odd integers would be like 13 and 11. And so let's let x represent the first one of those. I'll put an x right there. And then you'll notice that the next odd integer will always be 2 more than x. So I can use the expression x plus 2 to represent the next odd integer. Now, if they weren't odd integers, if they were just consecutive integers, then those numbers would look like this, 11 and 12, and I could use x and 1 more than x to represent those. But in this case, they're odd integers, so I'm going to use x plus 2 to represent the other one. Now I'm going to combine like terms. 1x and 1x together make 2x. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 2x equals 490. Now dividing by 2 gives me x equals 145. So I now know that the smaller of these two consecutive odd integers is 145, and then the next one would be 2 more than that, which would be 147. And just checking that you would want to add the 145 plus the 147 and make sure that it equals 492, and it doesn't, so that means I made a mistake here. And I see right now that my mistake was when I divided by 2, I should have gotten 245. And so my numbers are 245 and 247. All right? So it goes to show that it's really good to check your work. All right. The next problem we're going to do has to do with the perimeter of a rectangle. Whenever I get a problem that deals with geometry, I like to draw myself a little sketch. Now I know that perimeter means I'm going to add up all the sides. And the perimeter is 48, or 84. And to get that, I need to add all 4 sides up. So I'm just going to set this up so I know I'm adding 4 things to get that. Now I need to represent those. It says that the length is triple the width. So whatever the width is here, the length is 3 times that. Now, the way I can represent that is just 3 times W. Now remember that in a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So those are my 4 expressions, and all I have to do now is add those up. And so I definitely can simplify these. These are all like terms. So I have 1W, 1W, 3W, 3W, 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 3 is 8. Width equals 84. Dividing by 8, I get 1 width equals 84 divided by 8 is 10.5. So I now know that this width is 10.5. So that means this is 10.5. And then my length is triple that, which would be 31.5. And then my final check would be I want to add all those up. 31.5, 31.5, 10.5, and 10.5. And make sure that that equals 84, which it does. All right, let's do one more problem here. This one has to do with a taxi. So they charge $3.75 per mile plus a pickup fee of $18. How many miles can you ride for $93? So my expression, I'll just use C for the taxi charge, equals 3.75 times the number of miles. I'll just use, maybe an M would be good for that. Plus I have to pay the pickup fee of $18. Okay? Now, I have $93 to spend on this trip. And 93 is the total amount charged. It's not the number of miles. So I'm going to put that where C is. And then I'm going to go ahead and solve this equation. Subtract 18 from both sides. That gives me 75. And now I only have to worry about my miles charged part. And to get that, I'm going to divide by 3.75. And I end up with the number of miles I can drive is 200 miles. And you should probably go ahead and check that. But go ahead and finish this up, and then you'll be ready to do that retake. Good luck.